own like opening catchphrase, but you're gonna find that it helps to just have something to direct people into for your first like moment of engagement. I also like to ask like why they are there. And I actually find by asking someone where they are, what it's like there, and why they're there, I actually get to like kind of a core root of their like purpose in life. And it's an easy way to ask that, because if you just ask someone, what's your life purpose? They go, and it's not an easy question. Whereas it's like, where are you from? What's it like there? Why are you there? The last one is, most people are not accustomed to, but because you ask them 2 questions before that they're comfortable with, it's easier for them to think about an answer. And that right there is an NLP trick. They teach you in neuro-linguistic programming sciences. Or at least they taught me. So once you get through intro, and you want to like make sure they don't take too long telling you about what you're doing, or what they're doing, right? No more than like 2 to 5 minutes on an introduction is my personal, how I do it, because otherwise I get drained out. And we don't want to get drained out. We want to be able to like greet many people, each day we're doing this. Like if we should be able to do it probably at least 10 an hour, but maybe not. It really depends on how well you can gridlock the conversation. But so basically you look over at the sheet over yonder and you look at what role they signed up for, or so some people signed up for 3, 4, 5 roles. So you go through each one. And if they signed up for this, first thing you talk about is whether or not they finished the academy. And that's basically something they have to do first, because you can't really be a coordinator in our system unless you know how it works. And it's the easiest way is to just move someone through that. So if yes, do they have any questions about it? If no, you got to tell them just to go do that, and then you guys can talk again. But that's like, they just have to finish the academy before they can get more integrated. And then basically, if they don't have any questions, we're going to just like, that should just be it. If they don't have questions, they should know how to be a coordinator, recruiter, and mentor. If they specifically want to be a coordinator, at that point, we'll add them to our coordinator chat room. But otherwise, if they just want to be a recruiter and a mentor, if they don't have any questions at the end of the academy experience, they should know exactly what to do, is the idea. So then for consultants and freelancers.
Wait, hey Dakota.
Everything turned out fine for Ross.
Yeah.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, who's that? So the coordinator, recruiter, mentor. So for instance, you have like below, like if you're a business owner, are you willing to share your services for keys? Where does that come in for like the coordinator or mentor? Is there a certain amount of people or something that coordinator like supports, or hours for keys? Is that part of the 3 hours a week? How does that fit in for coordinators? I just think each person's going to definitely ask like, how am I rewarded, or how am I compensated?
Yeah, so we have yet to vote on the rate at which we pay coordinators, but that's going to be a thing soon. And we can talk about that. How much do you guys want to get paid? What do you feel like is fair? Stuff to think about.
Well, what is an hourly?
I think that would be maybe pending the work itself. So it depends on what a coordinator does, how many hours a coordinator pounds in.
Right. So coordinators talk and they write.
I think maybe this needs discussing a little bit further in, based on experience.
Yeah, cool. I agree with that. But yeah, let's all think about that. And basically, it's paid by the hour to talk and write. That's what coordinators do. That's the job description. So we don't have an answer for that just yet, Leela. But we will soon.
I also think for when you're asking for coordination, you're asking for something a little more. It's also like tracking the system and helping pieces find where they're supposed to go, and helping people be where they need to be, and answering questions. And it's a lot more providing of information and housing the system than just simply writing and talking. That's how I know. I mean, I've been doing coordination this whole time.
I know. Everything you just said, you accomplish by writing and talking, but it's very specific, writing and talking. You're right.
Yeah, it's definitely. I just wanted to make that clear. Like, it's definitely more like of a systems engineer position as well. And then the mentorship is different. That is like talking.
I don't know. I found in practice the actually effective mentors are like actually know where to put people. And also the effective recruiters are mentors and coordinators. It's just an archetype of being. And that's why I've lumped it all together. Because if someone just wants to be a mentor, but they are not equipped to be a coordinator, they actually don't make a very good mentor. So
Right.
it's a thing. And there are like major coordinators, and it's our job to stay on the ball all the time. But then there's like minor coordination, and basically most people should try to be like have at least some understanding of all the different moving parts and where someone might tap in. Otherwise, it just makes a huge amount of work for the major coordinators, and it gets overwhelming eventually. So that's one of the changes we've made since our last run. And on that note, so consultants and freelancers. There's a forum for consultants and freelancers. It's found right here. This you can find by going to asc.ai/keysmd. Stands for master document, but you could also think of it as medical doctor. That takes you to this document. It's a handy dandy little short code. It's also found in our white paper. And it has all the forums here. So if someone's like, where do I find the forum? Well, they should have gotten it in their response email. Every single person who fills out the forum gets an immediate response email that, to my knowledge, is not getting spam filtered, but we also tell them to check their spam filter in case they didn't see it. But some people won't have even seen that, so we show them this. So make sure they fill that out. So I'm actually going to give all of our greeting team access to the results of these forums. So before you have your interview with someone, you can pull up, like if they signed up for consultants or yada yada, you can pull it up and actually look at their forum as you're talking to them. But then if they didn't fill it out, well, they need to fill it out. What we've been finding is that most people are filling out their forums incorrectly. So you basically need to make sure we know like literally what they're offering. Some people are like super vague, and it's just like, all right, so if you're a freelancer, like you're actually doing something. You're like doing graphic design, you're doing programming, you can do construction work, you can do gardening. It's like a thing. It's like an old, some people are like super vague with this stuff, and you really just got to cut it down. Like what exact categories of freelancer are you willing to work with? The other thing is for consultants, like really nailing it down. Like you're a consultant on what? And the thing is a lot of people just want to do what we call casual consulting. Basically, if someone hasn't been paid money in the old system for what they want to consult on, they're considered casual. And that just means they're like people you can talk to and have fun with. And that's a thing. I think people really like to connect to each other, and it'd be fun to have a bunch of casual consultants too. But you really want to find that out, ideally, in this part of the talk with them. So the last part of it is you're going to confirm that they're ready to have their first consultation or job in the next 3 days. And then let them know that an administrative person from the admin panel will contact them soon for their first session. So if they're not ready, you gotta kind of be like, why? Because basically we're people who sign up for this, like they should be ready to work. Like, and if they're not, they shouldn't be in our directory. If they're just kind of like, oh, that looks fun. Woo, I want to be a consultant. And it's your job to figure out like who's real and who's not through this process.
I have a question for that too, Dakota, the last bit. Mm-hmm. So what's like the protocol chain of that? So do we take our list and then send them to you? Is there a spreadsheet we fill out to say who is actually going to be doing consulting in the next 3 days? Where do we send that? I don't want to just like give it to you on Facebook or...
Yeah, so I'm going to share a copied version with editing access of our most recent spreadsheets pretty recently. Okay. And then when you're looking at the person in their spread, there's going to be a column for the greeting team to like make a comment. And then one of those comments is going to be like ready for admin panel or like ready for tech team or like ready for whatever they're ready for. That's their next step. And then the column to the right of it is where that is like someone affirms that next step has happened or not. And so it'll all be in this one sweet spread where we can look at every single person, how many times they were contacted, where they're at in their relationship with us, and where it's going. It's like a built-in CRM system. And oh my God, if so many people talk to me about CRMs, I don't want to be mean about this, but when it comes to CRM conversation, how I feel about it is fuck off. Literally, it's more complicated to use than it is to like worth the time to try to get everyone to use it. I'm like, no CRMs, spreadsheets, everything we need for now. Thanks for letting me express myself there. All right. So, promoter, pretty simple. Right now, all the information about promoting is available here, pretty much. This is going to turn into its own academy soon, but it's not right now. So this is where people go. Also, that's the other point, is letting them know we're going to have a whole academy for this because it's a whole thing. But right now, it's the whole thing's right there. So that's being a promoter. You can actually go over it. So don't just send them there, but like sit them down and be like, all right, so like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to make your own article. We got some articles you can look at. Why don't you look at these? You know, if you have enough time, you can look at them together, or you can just run them through this pretty quickly. We also recommend picking an image or a video. You know, this is where we've got one image. So now that's a video, and there's 50 images right here. So mash up, make your own post it, tag as many friends as you can, up to 100 or 150 if it's an image, and then share it into all the pages and groups. Once you're done with that, you go to this form and you fill it out. The same instructions are on this form ish. Talk about me doing this. Well, I see a hand here. What's up, Mido?
So I wanted to ask, so for that, I heard you had a tool that would mass send out to specific groups with specific keywords. That would be ultra useful. That way we can kind of make one generic one and just send one blast out, and then we can go from there. But I think that would be really advantageous to you have that tool that we can use to send out to mass produce.
Yeah, super useful. That's right. That's why I made it. So thank you. Looking at that, so the end of this, so if you want to share a lot, we basically want them to get a tracking link, and I can give coordinators admin privileges to do that, but only technical coordinators. So basically, if someone wants a link, they need to send the technical division over a request, and we'll make it for them. And so when I go into here, to those that go above and beyond in promotion, what I'm talking about mostly is using our technology to get the word out there. So little note on this, most normal people get really freaked out when we talk about our software intelligence applications, which is why I don't talk about it here. It's like a total insiders thing only. And so basically what we're going to do is anyone who signs up for promotion, once they've already promoted us once and kind of integrated into how amazing we are, then we let them know that we have basically an infinite closet full of teenage age assistants who can help automate their social media system. That's my favorite kind of metaphor for it. But basically, our promoters can use our technology to bump all of their postings into the top of every group every day until all of their posts are deleted, which never actually happens. And to send a message to every one of their friends. So my account's doing this right now. I'm sending out a message to my 5,000 friends, telling them about our keys currency here. And with link to our tutorial academy, and just being like, we're the revolution, check it out. So any promoter can do that. Also promoters, if they want, can use our technology to make Twitter and Instagram versions of themselves that just like tells people about it all the time. And basically if they make the rep, then they get the credit for every link click that comes through their account. But we want that to be like a second layering, not a first impression. What's up, Brandon?
I look forward to the training on that software that you've done.
Yeah, we'll be doing that pretty soon. I've got a really high end, it's called endpoint cryptography security, and all of our servers are like pretty nuts as far as the amount of security on them. And basically my endpoint specialist has been lagging making the upgrades to allow other people to access the server. But it'll be done soon, and we'll do that probably within the next 5 days. Any more questions on this bit?
Yeah, I'd want to ask. So I have a personal Twitter account. I don't know if it has a lot of very specific things, and I think the audience that I have right now, it's about only 50 followers, but the audience that I have is like I just allowed nature to select whoever was attracted to that Twitter account. So I think we can take advantage of that and put a post on there and see if we can find links with the people or just something. I'm not very technically gifted when it comes to social media and the technical stuff behind it, but I think it could be advantageous.
Totally. Thank you, Mito. Yeah, we have the way we operate on Twitter is we've got a whole suite of functions that we can implement through any existing account or through new accounts. But we'll get into that at a later point. So, and again, don't talk about the software in your first meeting with them. That's a second or third layering we'll do. So for technicians, those that signed up as a technician, we want to get a list. And they should have filled this out in the forum, but again, most people don't fill it out correctly. We want all of their programming languages, as well as whatever abilities or skills they have that makes them a technician. We want to know how much they can play in the next 2 weeks and when they can get started. I guess the underlying thing is when can they get started just for keys? Because right now we're not hiring anyone. So if they want to play, it's got to be for keys. If they want money, it's like, well, then they can't get started.
Do you have a rate for programmers or technologists and keys, or that's just something that'll be like per person dependent?
The suggested guidelines we've created are between 40 and 70 keys per hour for technical help. And then it's depending on role and skill. And I will evaluate that on a case-by-case usage until I train a technical coordinator to do that, or one that already knows, ideally. But yeah.
Is there anybody in this group right now that's more adept at the technician side of things? I know that for me, it's all like Greek.
Just me. Yeah.
Just the way nature intended.
Jerry, I think he was interested.
Yeah. I just heard that technician thing. So I'm doing a lot of things right now. Sorry for is there a lot of background noise? I'm using the computer.
That's all right.
Okay, so the computer mic. So technician meaning like, can you expand more on that quickly? Just like.
Yeah, a technician is someone who uses their computer to get like useful stuff done. So that can be website design or development, graphic design, programming, video, animation, you know.
Oh yeah, that's totally my run. I I have pretty much my computer and Google and Facebook are like my office. I know how to use them really well, and I'm really good at getting engagement and just weeding out. Like I heard you were talking about just filtering out these people who signed up. I could definitely do that. I'm really good at asking these engaging questions, and when I don't see engagement, it's just like, yeah, you're not the type. So
cool. Great. We got another one for Greet Team. Welcome, Jerry. Is that how I say your name?
Yeah, you can call me Jerry or Jai. That's like
cool.
Or
Jai. I like Jai a lot. Let's do that one.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks for being here, Jai.
Thanks for having me, Dakota. So Brandon invited me to this, and cryptocurrency just recently came to me, and someone just introduced the concept of Ethereum to me, and I was like, okay, blockchain, all right, you're on the map now. And apparently it's skyrocketed, so I'm like, okay, kind of missed the bandwagon on the skyrocketing, but there's going to be many more coming once these giant corporations are like, oh shit, okay, we got to get in on this. So I think you're ahead of the game. So, and you seem brilliant. And I have my dearly beloved, no, don't say that? Okay, all right. Yeah, someone to verify just your continence. She's like my oracle, and she said like you're a brilliant person. So
cool. I'm glad the oracles are verifying my confidence. Cool.
So yeah, I mean, my intention is just to make everything more open source and accessible. So that's just it. And with my intention, I have run-ins with the law, but they are of the most magical nature. They usually end up in like a dream interpretation or some kind of astrology. And
Cool.
a way to just broadcast in social media, just to see, just to have more fun and interaction. Don't be so afraid. Just the world is your playground. That's like my message.
Beautiful. Thanks for
I'm gonna go
being
back.
here with us.
Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm. I see Daniela showed up in the middle of that. Hey, Daniela, I'm glad you made it. I think we're right in the middle of this team training here. If we have time at the end of it, we can talk about it, talk to each other a little bit. But I want to run through these last bulletin points while we still have time. So for business owners, we're going to confirm that what they're signing up for is to exchange whatever their product or service is for keys. And what we get, like, we kind of want to sell them on this basically here, where we let them know that the keys that they get from giving us these products or services, they can immediately spend on digital freelancers and free advertising. So they can hire on the ground promoters if we have them in that area. And we can also use them for digital representative services. And graphic design, website design, stuff like that. Also, depending on their business, like we can help develop their property or properties, their infrastructure. So we want to basically help them make the first jump. We're not saying take an unlimited number of keys that may or may not be useful to you. We're saying we want to give them like somewhere between 5,000 and 50,000 keys for this like first like trial arrangement. And we want them to give us $5,000 to $50,000 worth of vouchers for products or services. And that's the initial agreement. We're basically saying that if at the end of like the time that we have used all of our vouchers, if they have like really liked what's been happening and like they've actually been getting help and it's a working agreement with them, then at that time we can talk about them like having a permanent trade agreement. But we basically want to sell them on just initially sending us some product, promoting us with the idea, and then getting some keys that they can spend and see how useful they are for them. For any kind of significant company, $5,000 worth of product, nothing. So that's our minimum here if they want to be promoted. We can make like exceptions on that, but only if we like the people we're making the exception for. And that would be like if it was like a small business that couldn't actually afford that. So for landowners, we're like confirming that what they're signing up for is to let people stay and experience their land in exchange for keys. We want to let them know that they can immediately purchase permaculture, construction, and agricultural developments for their property. And the key about this right now is while there is no cash in our economy, they have to pay for the food and travel expenses of our crew. But basically, once our crew gets there, they're doing the work for keys. So that's an important thing to note with landowners right now. So what if they're like, hell yeah, that sounds great, then we need to get their exact location, their size, how many acres or hectares, their infrastructure, which includes water access, electricity, internet, available and unavailable buildings, and the fruit trees. We want to know all about those fruit trees. And if appropriate, ask whether they're also open to events, workshops, businesses, or other communities living on their property with them, which is slightly different than people just paying keys to stay and experience the land. Now we're talking about organizations renting the land as well for keys. Sponsored organization, make sure they filled out their form correctly. I noticed no one has filled out their form correctly yet. We want to get a list of what actions they would pay out our keys for, and that's actually part of the form, but this is the most important part. It's like, okay, so if we actually give you 100,000 keys, what are you going to do with them? If you're not going to sell them, like how are you going to pay people? What are they going to do? And then we'll use this information and we'll give it to people who sign up with the Keys Collective if they check the box where they want to work for a humanitarian organization. And we don't even have that box yet because we don't have humanitarian organizations other than the ASC. And the only ASC project right now is this currency. So we're going to build that out soon. Discern whether this organization can make this a win-win-win relationship. Basically, it's like the causes out there that are helping the planet are great, and we want to support them, but we want them to support us too. And what that means is like there are in most cases, organizations can like do something like promote us or like give us like a service or a product or something that is a benefit to the Keys economy. And we want them to basically just give whatever they have to offer. And we're going to pick sponsored organizations also based on how they can promote our economic system. And then for investors, if they sign just that box, I would leave it empty for now. And if they also sign that, just let them know we'll get back to them. We're still building our pitch deck and a lot of our basic infrastructure. We're kind of like wouldn't really be ready to accept a large amount of money. If anyone's interested, we are open to up to $10,000 just to like accelerate some technological development, but we don't need it. And we're not actually open to much more than that. But you mean anyone can buy our keys right now. We're selling, 1 million of them. But as far as like selling an investor with a deck, we don't have that stuff yet because I don't prioritize it. I'm like most of the like new paradigm humanitarian groups out there spend most of their time talking about how they're going to get the money to do what they want to do. And I'm just like completely different than that. I'm like, oh, we don't need the fucking money. That's the whole point of making our own currency system. We just need people to show up. And if we show up, it'll all work. And we've got a lot of stuff to support the showing up. And when people show up, the money just follows it. So rather than following the money, we're just doing our thing. And we don't have a pitch for investors right now. If they want to give us their money, great. If not, well, we'll have a deck for them later, sometime in the next 3 months, maybe sooner. But that project is not a priority for me. And that is our little team training on our greeting team.
Dakota, for the investors, that was kind of saying we don't have much in place for them. Is it good then to send them your way and see if you could set up an appointment with them other than purchasing keys?
I guess.
I guess I didn't feel like a really good funnel for them out of that.
Right. I would say if they want to invest at least like $100, they can talk to me. Otherwise, there's a lot of people that dink me around, and I just like I'm not going to talk to someone just because they checked the investor checkbox. So if they're willing, if they're a serious investor, they can easily put down $100 to talk to one of their primary founders to learn more. And if they're not willing to put down 100, then I'm just going to end the funnel there. But if they do, then yeah, they can set up a private consultation with me, and that would actually probably be a great leeway point while we don't have any more materials. So let's implement that upgrade. I will change the document and yeah, let's do that right now. Any other questions?
Yeah. Well, it's more of like a statement or something, an idea. So for the DRSs, digital representative services, we should consider hiring the Spirit Science creator team. The style of animation was really creative and really fun. Even though information was really
I do really like
quick
them. But the last time I tried to collaborate with them, they kind of told me to either pay them a bunch of money or fuck off. So
what about Key? So
we can approach them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. And if you already know them, I don't mind joining as well.
Yeah, I don't know them in a good way. So I'd recommend
sure,
someone else do that.
I've met Jordan. I know him a little bit. I've sent him some messages and he hasn't got back to me. So I've already sent that out.
Yep. So that's how most of the media agencies are. I noticed most of the new paradigm media people are like really full of themselves, and they just like being in the spotlight, and they're not actually here to like get it done. They're just here to talk about it. So
the main thing I think is that the fact that they actually can create really cool art, and they can make something that's really complex turn to something simple and sort of magical. Spirit Science was a huge awakener or eye opener for me.
we're pretty much out of time.
Okay.
Thanks for showing up, everyone. We'll have another meeting probably later today.
Sure. If anything, if anybody knows the media agency themselves, not Jordan himself, but whoever were the